Yay Networks.
Welcome to another episode of A Sandwich and Some Lovin' podcast. I'm Kelly Raspberry Evans, and this is, of course, my husband and co-host, and I wish he was the father of my babies, Alan Evans.
Hey, Trade in the house. And we have some very special guests with us today.
And how red are you?
It always feels okay doing that in the comfort of my own home.
Yeah.
But when you have distinguished guests here in the Kid Craddock Morning Show studios, eyeballs on me, it feels a little strange to say that.
Well, I give you props just for going through with it.
Thank you, Beth.
Like I said, when I married Alan, I was a tad bit older. I was 50. I'll just be honest. And I said, Alan, I would love to just have one baby with you, just one. And he said no. But if he had said yes, I know the first and only phone call I would have made would be to the man who made it possible for me to have Emma Kelly over 14 years ago now. And that would be Dr. Kathy Doody.
Yay.
Who we're welcoming back to the podcast along with his wife. Also, Dr. Doody, Dr. Kathy Doody.
Yay.
Both of them fertility specialists, fertility experts.
Yes.
And are responsible for making a lot of babies in this universe. How many babies have you ever counted up? How many y'all have successfully been a part of?
Too many to count.
It's over 10,000.
Over 10,000.
10,000?
Yeah.
So how long have you been? I mean, did you both start off as fertility specialists and you met each other, or you both? How did that come to be? A fertility specialist married a fertility specialist.
We were residents together, and I was a year behind Kevin, and we were just friends. He came up here to do his fellowship in Dallas in 1987. I followed a year later. We were married a year after that.
How about that?
And she's always been my lower level.
Oh.
But sometimes it's that special person behind the man that makes it all work.
Oh, that's awesome. And you've been making babies, I guess it's not making babies, but making it possible for people to achieve their dreams of having babies for how many years now?
Nearly 32. It'll be 32 this summer.
Wow.
And when you first started with infertility, just think of how far it's come. What in those beginning stages, what was it like for women who were experiencing infertility treatments? What were their options 30-something years ago?
It's changed crazy since then. So back then we did IVF, but it was far less successful, and we would have to transfer embryos at an earlier stage and transfer multiple embryos in order to come close to the success that we have these days.
Yeah. And I guess that's what the first test tube baby was. Is that was an in vitro?
Right.
1978.
Isn't that crazy?
Louise Brown. Kevin, we have a picture of Kevin with her when she turned 40. She was
I've
doing.
met Louise twice.
Really?
Is that right?
And she was groundbreaking.
She was.
And I know when I, decided I was ready to make a baby, I was ready to have one. I just thought, okay, I'd just, stop birth control, try for a couple of months, and I'll get pregnant. And then that didn't happen for me. And, I come to find out that if you try to get pregnant or you get pregnant at age of 35, you're considered geriatric, which is shocking. And I wish somebody would change the terminology on that. But, I was just talking to somebody else about that. Why is 35 considered geriatric for a pregnancy?
So at age 35, there starts to be a little bit greater risk of chromosomally abnormal, so uneven numbers of chromosomes present. Pregnancy rates are changing, although still women who are in their mid to later 30s can do very, very well with fertility treatment. It becomes increasingly more difficult as you reach that age of over 40.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. We had our second child when I was 43, and I heard that term all the time
And it
about...
punches you in the gut.
I know.
It's like, I don't feel geriatric.
Elderly.
But it is just a term. It's a term.
It's just a word.
But there's also a misconception that if you're in your 20s, you have all the time in the world, there's no hurry. But we're actually seeing more and more infertility issues with younger and younger women. Is there any reason for that? Is it environmental? Is it our stress levels? Is there any sort of scientific reason why we're seeing younger and younger women struggle?
Yeah, it's probably a mixture of both. And young women have, some young women have always struggled, but undoubtedly there are things in our environment. Well, men have lower sperm counts than they did 50
That's
years
right. I shouldn't
ago.
say
Their
it's always women.
testosterone levels are lower, and certainly that reflects in the fertility of the couple.
Yeah.
Now, why is that, Dr. Doody? Men's fertility levels are dropping?
So we don't know. People speculate that a lot of the plastics that we drink out of and come into contact with have estrogen type,
Chemicals or something?
Chemicals in them that act and bind to the estrogen receptor. So
I have not heard of that. That is very interesting.
All I knew is that when I was trying to get pregnant, that men had to wear loose underwear. That's all I was told.
I remember that too, back
Alan,
in the day.
Alan, when he was previously married, you also had some infertility struggles. So
yeah, there were things that I had to do as a man, and that was one of them, I was told. Yes.
Wear loose underwear.
Yes, and timing was of the essence, I remember.
Yeah. It's overwhelming a lot of time, but the thing I do love, I didn't meet Dr. Kathy Doody until well after I'd met Dr. Kevin Doody when I went to his office. And I really felt like at that point, you were my last hope. I was going to try one more time, and then I wasn't going to try anymore because it's just so heartbreaking to go through an experience and find out, well, I'm not pregnant again. I'm not pregnant again. But up until I had met you, I hadn't tried in vitro. I had done everything else. And there are so many other options actually before you go straight to in vitro, right?
Right. So the whole strategy with dealing with difficulty getting pregnant is to make an accurate diagnosis. And so the idea is to determine what the underlying cause is and, if possible, correct it. But IVF is certainly useful if that cause can't be directly corrected.
Yeah, because I tried everything. I tried the Clomid. I tried I say turkey baster, and I know that's not the right term.
I think that's the right term.
IUI? Is it IUI?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it right.
IUI.
I did
Wow.
that. We tried everything, and then I was just like, I just felt like I was just never going to get pregnant. But then Dr. Doody took one look at my x-rays, and were like, I had beginning stages of endometriosis. I had some cysts and things, and you said basically I needed to be a clean slate. I had to have a surgical procedure that basically cleaned me out. I don't know what the technical term for that is other than you just cleaned me out. And then I did the in vitro, and thank the Lord and thank Dr. Kevin Doody, I got Emma Kelly. And my in vitro process, I was very fortunate. I got pregnant the first try. But that's not always the case. Going through in vitro doesn't always guarantee a pregnancy, right?
Correct.
Right. And especially as women get older, the egg numbers go down and the egg quality goes down. So it might take more than one or even two times.
So it's not always, it is a miracle, but sometimes it takes a few tries, and every man's journey to parenthood is different. But I'm just so excited that I found you, because I really feel like that's why I have Emma Kelly today. Now, some days with Emma Kelly are better than others. She is 14 now.
I was going to ask the doctors if they consult with teenager issues, because that's the thing we're dealing with.
If y'all could offer counseling in the way after the fact, that would be very helpful. But that's for another podcast. Alan, why don't you tell everybody why we invited the Doctor's Duty back today?
We were just talking right before we started recording about how this is our third time with the doctors, and how we are excited to announce the third MaybeBaby contest.
I know, I'm so excited.
And we are, if you've been a long time listener to the podcast, you may remember we had a beautiful baby that was born by Kellie and Luis. From around the Houston area, I believe, and they won our first contest and consulted with the doctors, and they had a beautiful baby boy, Asher.
I know, he's so
cute. He was just the most photogenic little baby boy you've ever seen.
Well, he has no choice. Mama is sticking that camera in his face, and I don't blame her, because he's so cute.
He's so cute. But we want to have Kellie and Luis call in on the podcast between now and when we announce the winner for this contest.
Yeah.
So basically the way it's going to work is on our website, on kellyandallen.com/MaybeBaby, there will be a form where you can submit your fertility journey in 100 words or less.
I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but really, you can express yourself in 100 words less, I promise. But we get so many entries that if we just let y'all cut loose, there's no way we could get through
a lot of reading,
them.
yeah.
So please just, forgive us. I know you're like, there's no way I could say it in 100 words or less. I promise you can. And just get those into us. Now, Alan has the dates and everything for when you have to get that in, starting today, starting with the announcement of this podcast.
Yeah. And then the contest will conclude on April the 20th. So we need to have your entry by April the 20th. and then at 5 p.m., and then on April 22nd,
5 p.m. Central Time.
5 p.m. Central Time, and then on April 22nd, we will announce the winner of the MaybeBaby contest.
On our podcast.
On our podcast.
So you've got time. I know you've got a story to share. And if you've been struggling with infertility, this is your chance to hopefully win our MaybeBaby contest 3.0, right? MaybeBaby 3.0.
Yeah.
And perhaps you'll have a success story like Kellie and Louise to share. And the reason we're doing that now is because April, if you were not aware, is National Infertility Month. And what is the purpose behind National Infertility Month beyond just, well, I mean, we're not celebrating infertility. What are we doing with National Infertility Month?
So I think Infertility Awareness Month, it serves many purposes. One, I think it helps to unite already a very strong community. Events like what you're hosting give information to patients, and I think information is power. I think it also helps just educate everyone that infertility is a medical illness. It's not something that you choose to have happen to you, and it should be treated, as such. And so we want to try to increase access to care, I think, around the country, increase insurance coverage for patients. All of those are topics that are very much on the mind of the infertile couple. And organizations like Resolve, a national patient organization for infertility patients, really works very hard to advocate for those increased access to care.
And I think awareness is important. Patients are suffering from infertility, and when their friends don't know much about it and just tell them, "Oh, relax and you'll get pregnant," it's not helpful. So it's good for the whole public to understand.
Yeah. I think when I was going through it, it's been, granted 15, 16 years ago when I was struggling through it, despite the fact that other women are going through it, you still feel so alone. And you're not. The numbers are really pretty staggering. So many women are going through it, but not everyone is as verbal about it as I am. And I just tell all my business, but I think it's becoming less and less taboo to talk about it, because when you're going through it, you feel broken. You feel like, what's wrong with me? Why is God punishing me? It's such an emotional struggle. And like you said, your other friends that they just, look at each other and get pregnant. That's the way it feels sometimes. And I remember just going to the grocery store, and everywhere I looked, everybody was pregnant, but me is what it felt like. And it's like, well, man, if I knew it was this hard to be pregnant, I wouldn't have waited, because I mean, it's just like a 16-year-old girl popped up pregnant, and I'm just like, it's not fair, Honey, I know you don't listen to the Kid Craddock morning show like you should every day.
Nationally syndicated, but yes, I do. I do listen.
Well, we just had a contest called Wants and Needs, and I can't tell you how many people put on their want and need list a Theragun.
Theragun.
Everybody wants one of these in your life, and you can have one. It's way more affordable than you think. Theragun is the handheld percussive therapy device that releases that deep muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power. It's as quiet as an electric toothbrush. And the Gen 4 Theragun doesn't just feel good. It gets to the source of your pain by releasing tension using Theragun's signature percussive therapy. This goes 60% deeper than vibration alone. So whether you want to treat muscle tension from working out like my man Allen does on leg day, or an injury, or maybe you just have stress like me. My stress I carry in my shoulders. There is no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. And their OLED screen and design make you feel like you're holding something from the future. If you want to check it out, go to their website. And also the Theragun app, it learns from your behaviors and suggests guided routines.
Are you about tension release? I am, and you should try Theragun for 30 days starting at only $199. Go to Theragun.com/lovin' right now and get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's Theragun.com/lovin', Theragun.com/lovin', LOVIN.
There's so much support out there now that I don't think was there just as recently as a dozen or so years ago.
Right. In the ideal time, I mean, if you're in your 20s and infertile, having difficulty creating your family, now's the time to get started. Don't wait 10 or 15 years. I mean, I think that's super important, for patients. So one reason you said earlier about more and more young women with infertility, I think there's also just women feel more comfortable talking about it than they did previously.
I think that's a lot to do with social media, because we're just sharing all of our business on social media. And now it just made it easier to talk about struggles with infertility. And I think a lot of young ladies, and, and you just do for women too. You work with men as well, right?
Of course.
But I think even if you're thinking, okay, I'm in my 20s, I don't have any plans to have a child until I'm in my 30s. That's my dream situation. But isn't it smart to go ahead and get checked out in your 20s just to see how everything's working, to kind of get a baseline for where you might be in your fertility journey?
I think that's true. Infertility, like everything biological, is a bell-shaped curve, right? So the average woman loses her fertility by age 43, right? But for some women, that's 32, 35.
Mm-hmm.
Other women may be able to have successfully a child in their late 40s without any assistance.
Yeah. And there are also other options, like a lot of times, and we're seeing, it's the Kardashian effect. We give them so much credit, but a lot of times women aren't able to carry the baby themselves. You have to have a surrogate, and you facilitate those types of pregnancies as well, right?
Yes.
And that's such an interesting process to go through. I know you work with, like couples that perhaps there's no man involved. And you can, there's a way, if you want to have a baby.
Or no woman involved.
Yes, exactly. There is a way to have a baby, and you deal with all sorts of situations, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Families come about today in lots of different ways. I think that's always important for everyone to keep in mind. Just to get back to the younger women, life gets away from all of us, right? I mean, if you're like me, I'm going, oh my gosh, it's April. Oh, where's the year going?
I know.
And so sometimes going in and seeking an evaluation, some women decide to do things like freeze their eggs for the future. Not that they necessarily will ultimately use them, but it helps them feel more proactive in what the reproductive choices. What are my fertility choices going to be down the line? Well, I think I want to do that. Not right for everyone, perhaps, but I think something that is reasonable to look at, and obviously better odds if you're in your 20s than if you decide to do that at, say, 39.
Is there a really big difference in freezing eggs or freezing embryos? Is that a way? I mean, that's just a completely more complicated process.
It's technically more challenging, so it's a newer thing to freeze eggs, but it's quite successful these days.
Oh, so freezing eggs is more complicated than freezing embryos?
Right.
Oh, I would have thought it'd be the opposite.
Me too.
Yeah, the egg is the biggest cell in the human body, and to get it to freeze without ice crystals forming and disrupting, difficult.
Wow. Well, look, we're learning something every day.
Yeah, I learn something every time.
I think there was anything else I could learn in here. I learned something. This past year has taught us how much we love online shopping and having everything delivered right to our doorstep. I mean, everything, including prescriptions. That's why Amazon Pharmacy is so freaking amazing. Who wants to go stand in line at the pharmacy? Nobody. There's something about standing in line at the pharmacy. It just feels longer. That's because it is longer than any other line on the planet. It's a beating. Well, you don't have to do that anymore thanks to Amazon Pharmacy, and it's so easy. You have your doctor's office send your next prescription straight to Amazon Pharmacy. They work with most insurance plans nationwide. Amazon Prime members get free 2-day delivery, and you save on prescription medication when you pay without insurance. Now, you can compare both options, pay with or pay without insurance. Check the prices out at checkout, and then you decide. Amazon Pharmacy delivers your medications right to your door, very discreet packaging, so your nosy neighbor doesn't need to know what you're taking. And Amazon Pharmacy sends you updates along the way, so you know when it arrives. And seriously, it was the easiest thing to sign up for. I just wish I'd discovered Amazon Pharmacy sooner. And
Amazon Prime members can save on prescription medication when not using insurance and get free 2-day delivery. Learn more at amazon.com/sandwich. That's amazon.com/sandwich. One more time for good measure, babe. Amazon.com/sandwich. Well, just real quick, babe, back to the contest.
Mm-hmm.
The winning couple, they receive a free consult and evaluation as well as a free Effortless IVF cycle.
Okay.
So that's what, I don't know if I mentioned that when we were talking about the contest.
I know we're talking about,
but that's what the winner gets in this contest.
That's wonderful. And it doesn't, like we were talking, Dr. Kathy Doody, I always have to clarify before we started recording, thanks to telehealth, you don't have to live in our immediate vicinity in order to win this contest, but you still have to come here for the actual treatment.
Right. You need to come in person to be evaluated, the physical testing, and then the couple of visits that are involved in the cycle. And, if there's anything that's good that came out of 2020, it would be telehealth did increase access to care, made it easier for patients, and particularly our patients. Infertility patients talk to the doctor multiple times. They have multiple visits. And, of course, we have to have you in person for some of those things.
Right.
Discussions we've seen via telehealth are easier for patients to schedule, easier to get both partners in on the call. You don't have to all be in the same place. I think it's, one positive.
No, that's true. It's true. It's hard to say something positive came out of 2020, but telehealth is one of those things. But it is, if you win the IVF cycle with the Doctor's Duty, you're going to have to get yourself to the area. That's the only thing. But I'll tell you, you have patients come from all over the country because of the reputation that you have and the success rate that you have, right?
We have. And as Kathy was saying, one of the things we've really taken home from the pandemic is how to streamline the process. So typically it's just 2 visits, and then we're actually doing the egg retrieval. The IVF cycle.
Wow.
Well, not just specifically for effortless patients, true for all patients. I mean, we feel like you can really, as Kevin said, the sort of the bedrock, the foundation of the infertility process is to try to get as accurate a diagnosis as you can. Or as I say to patients, our philosophy is let's try and identify the things we perhaps can improve upon or fix before we start treatment of any kind. We really want everyone, no matter what treatment they're choosing, to have their very best chance for success.
Well, it's like I said, it's a different path for everybody that wants to become a parent. And my path ultimately led me to in vitro, and that might be the path that you're on. But it's always, even with this contest that we're doing, the MaybeBaby 3.0. Maybe you haven't tried any other paths. I mean, you wouldn't just jump right into in vitro. That wouldn't be your first normal.
The answer to that is it depends.
It depends.
What the cause of the infertility is. And as IVF has become more successful, especially transferring just a single embryo, it really has become, whereas previously people would try things like Clomid, IUI first, it's far less successful, and it actually has a greater risk. Multiple pregnancies can cause complications with the pregnancy and can cause complications with the baby, like autism and cystic fibrosis.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
And not cystic, cerebral palsy. So IVF can be not only more successful, quicker time to pregnancy, but also can be safer in a lot of ways. Now, it doesn't mean it's all advantages. That's a discussion to have with your physician.
Yeah, well, you know what? If I would have just immediately done the IVF instead of going through everything else I did was before I met you, I could have saved myself a lot of expense and heartache, with all the failed attempts. And then, we finally, because, you have to weigh a lot of it out, whatever's best for you in your situation. And IVF ended up being the right course for me, and hopefully for a lot of our listeners listening to us today.
But it's interesting that the philosophy or the thought surrounding that has changed. And over the past several years, insurance companies, unfortunately, most patients don't have insurance coverage for IVF, although that's increasing. But a couple of the insurance companies where it was common that you would have to go through the hurdles of IUI first, they're actually encouraging people to go to IVF first because of the quicker time to pregnancy and the less risk for them of having babies in the neonatal intensive care unit, et cetera.
I can't tell you. I'm so glad I don't have to go through that again.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
If my husband would have said yes, I would have tried one more time, Dr. Duty.
That ship has sailed for us.
I know, but I was willing because
I'm sure the doctors would think
we would have
different.
made a cute baby.
I agree. But, doctors, and the COVID vaccine is relatively new, but have you learned anything about the vaccine and its effect or not on fertility, or is it too soon to tell?
Right, it is too soon to tell, but we do know that either having COVID or the vaccine is protective to the baby, right? So it crosses the placenta. So if the baby's born and the mom has been vaccinated, then the baby is relatively protected against developing it, and it's in breast milk too.
Has that changed anything about how you've been able to do your business during COVID?
So, the first couple months of COVID were a disaster.
Yeah,
right?
nobody knew what to do.
Nobody knew what to do. We really shut down almost completely for 2 months. But then finally, after, getting, realizing we're going to have to practice in this era of the pandemic, we moved forward enacting all of the risk mitigation policies and procedures, and obviously we're still implementing those. Some of them we'll be happy to see go away when we don't have to wear masks anymore, and when we can have the partners support people accompany patients for their exams and procedures.
Yeah, I know. You're just all figuring it out as we go, but they've done a beautiful job, and they're still helping people realize their dream of becoming a parent. Now, a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're like, well, I don't know that this is a contest I want to enter, but maybe they're thinking, I should get, just like I said earlier, a baseline of where I stand in my fertility. Now, other than reaching out to win this contest with us, how could they reach out to you to make an appointment at your facility?
Sure, they can go to our website, carefertility or embryo.net.
That's the one I always give out is embryo.net.
Embryo.net.
Because it's just so easy for me to remember.
And then we have our Effortless
And
IVF website.
EffortlessIVF.com. But we encourage people that are just interested in testing their fertility. So for a woman, she can get her AMH level done, or a guy that wants to get his semen analysis done, his sperm count, he can do that without going to any physician first.
Oh, really? They come straight to you?
Yeah,
They can do that. You can
do
call
the
and
testing.
schedule your own appointment, and then we'll give you the results. Of course, we need to have a schedule a consultation to really discuss that. But it's not unusual, and it seems reasonable, right?
Right.
Like some basic, information.
Yeah, because it can help, affect the decisions you make moving forward in
I had to do
2021 and beyond.
Yeah.
What, honey?
I had to do that.
Get the baseline?
The sample.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the infertility process.
Right.
Is there anything you want to share?
No.
You feel like you want to
painful
share.
I wouldn't describe it as painful.
You would not?
No, it wasn't painful.
It's we don't need to discuss it. I think
No.
people can get the idea.
They get the idea.
But look, if you're like, you know what, Kelly, and Allen, I'm not ready to, go through the IVF process, but I would like to get more information. So the Doodys are there for you. They've got so much information that we can't squeeze into a podcast. And I'm sure there are questions you have that we have not brought up today. And so there are many ways to reach them. Like I always give out the embryo.net website, or effortlessivf.com. And there was one more. Or was that just the
That's
two?
it.
That's the two. Okay.
Yeah.
Effortlessivf.com. If you can't remember that, embryo.net is super easy. Schedule that consultation, see where you stand in your fertility journey. Even if you're thinking, I know there's so many women, they're like, I'm not even sure if I want to have a baby. Why not go ahead and find out where you stand anyway? Because I'll tell you what, one day you're going to be walking through the department store or the baby section, and you are going to be brought to your knees because your woman's going to start screaming at you. And you're like, I never knew I wanted a baby until now. That little dress is so cute. I tell you, it'll hit you like that. And it doesn't hurt just to find out what your options are, where you stand in your fertility journey. Just make that consultation. But if you are struggling with infertility, this is National Infertility Awareness Month. This is why we're doing MaybeBaby 3.0. And I guess you were listening earlier in the podcast, but just in case, Alan, give them all that information.
Enter the contest. You go to kellyanallen.com/MaybeBaby, and there's a simple form you fill out with your contact information. In 100 words or less, we want you to describe your infertility journey, which may be a challenge, but we think
you can do it.
We think you can do it. And there's also some bullets you need to read on your eligibility. I mean, there's a certain age you need to be, less than, and some other medical information you need to review before you enter the contest.
We want you to have your best chance for success.
Yeah.
And we did this contest, the first MaybeBaby. It was so exciting. I remember when we called Kellie and Louise, they were at a baseball game.
She was at a baseball game, yeah.
And at first she didn't answer the phone number because she didn't recognize it. And I don't blame her. I don't answer numbers I don't recognize. But when we called back that second time, she's like, I better answer this phone call. And I remember they got up and left that baseball game, and there were just tears of joy just from, telling them that they were going to get this effortless IVF cycle. And it produced a beautiful baby boy, Asher, who just turned 1 not too long ago. And hopefully we'll be talking to them soon and just get a little update from them, because it's been really fun to be
I bet we
a
can get
little
them on.
part of that journey with them.
I tell people all the time, Kathy, myself, you, and Kevin had a baby.
We did.
And they look at me.
And he's so cute.
What in the hell are you talking about?
He's so cute.
No, but he
little
is
Asher.
very cute.
So hopefully we have another beautiful story to share from MaybeBaby 3.0. So I'm excited. You have until April the 20th to get
April
your
the
entries in.
20th to get your submission in, 5 p.m. Central. The winner will be announced on our podcast on April 22nd.
Right. Is there anything else we didn't kind of touch on today regarding National Infertility Awareness Month? Any great resources some of our listeners can go to beyond effortlessivf.com or embryo.net?
Resolve. I think the Resolve patient organization, they're a wonderful organization, lots of information, offers a lot of connection with couples, individuals going through the same process. And like you said earlier, the emotional aspect is really difficult. And I think being able to talk and reach out and connect with someone who's going through the same process as you is very helpful. Information, absolutely, 100% is so important, because the more information you have, the easier it is to decide really what's best for you. And there's never only one answer. It's really what feels comfortable for you and your partner.
Exactly. And just don't be ashamed that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not being punished. If it just, the more information you have and the more people you talk to about it, you'll be surprised. I know intelligently, you're not alone, but emotionally you feel alone. But there is support out there. You just have to reach out, and you'd be surprised at how many people are willing to share their stories with you and their successes with you as well. So we'll be talking to Kellie and Luis about their successful journey on an upcoming podcast really soon.
I hope so.
I hope so,
We'll
too.
give them a call.
Well, thank you again both so much.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Our podcast family is so excited to have this opportunity, and we're excited to be a part of it as well. Maybe make another baby.
We're going to make another baby, babe.
Make another one, baby. I love you, baby.
I love you too. Love you desperately. I love the doctors desperately.
I know.
But I'm sure we'll podcast again real soon.
Very soon.
And in the immortal words of the great Keanu Reeves, life is good when you have a good sandwich.